So one critical tool that we are going to be using for this is the stihl version for a pressure and vacuum tester. Part number 0008501300-A. So this can do both pressure and vacuum, and that is done with this chuck here. So in this position, with this all the way to the right, if I plug off our port here, builds pressure. I'm going to let off. For vacuum, we're going to slide the chuck all the way to the left, block the end of our nipple here, and that pulled the vacuum. Let go. So that's pretty much our functions of our tool, and we're going to need that for when we test our tank vent system. The first thing we're going to want to do is make sure that our fuel tank is empty. I've already drained it out, so that part is done. So we're going to tighten that. We're going to remove our air filter cover here, turn twist lock, pull out. We've got a spacer piece in here. Take that out. Come back here. Pull our air filter out. We're also going to remove our two 8mm nuts that hold our flange on here. We'll do that next. The specific tool I'll be using from Stihl is part number 5910-890-2420, and it's just a long T-handle that's got our 8mm on the end of it. You can use a regular socket if you like. I'm going to remove these two. That nut out there. Okay. Pull that out. You can see here. Here's our tank vent. And here we got our two hoses that go to our carburetor. I'm going to actually want one of those hoses for this process. So you could either make it more easier. You could either take this whole recoil shroud off here with T27 Torx, or you could just fish out one of the hose lines. But for today, we are going to take off our whole recoil shroud just to make this a little bit easier. So I'll be using a T27 long handle, also made by Stihl, part number 5910-890-2400. Let's start with this one. To wiggle and pull up our rubber spark plug bit here. Okay, now we should be able to pull out on a recoil assembly like so. And here you can see we got better access to one of our hose lines we can use. I'm going to use this one. You can blow off any excessive debris before you pull them off, just to reduce contamination risk, which I am going to do. So we're going to remove our return line here. I'm going to twist and pull. There we go. So on this end of our hose, we're going to put in our pressure and vacuum tester barb for when we do our testing. Okay, so now we're going to connect our tester to our fuel hose that we just disconnected from the carburetor. Make sure that's seated. We're going to go in pressure mode. We're going to pump this up to close to 8 psi. There we go. And if it holds, that means our fuel tank isn't leaking any fuel. Like if the fuel cap O-ring was bad, or our tank vent, around the tank vent wasn't sealing, or our fuel line bushing over here, we could spray soapy water on our tank area to look to see where our leak was, to know what would need replaced. So this holds, so that's good. We're going to go into vacuum, bleeding down, so that's good. We're going to pump in vacuum mode. You can see we're bleeding back down to 0, slowly but surely. So our tank vent is working. I would like to see it bleed down a little bit faster, but it is working. This is my own unit, so I'm not going to worry about it. If this was a customer's, I would probably replace the vent just to make sure that that wasn't going to be an issue down the road. But that's pretty much all it is for testing our tank vent for pressure and vacuum mode. So now we just got to disconnect here and reinstall everything back together again. Okay, so we are going to reinstall everything. So we're going to reconnect our hose return. There we go. Make sure that's on. Going to reinstall our recoil shroud. Kind of wiggle it in until it finds home. Install our T27 screws. Okay, I'm going to reinstall our spark plug boot. I'm going to push down and wiggle at the same time. There we go. We're going to reinstall our air filter cover mount. Okay. Get our 8mm flange nuts. Get that started there. We'll start our next one. Install our air filter. Our spacer here. Like that. Air filter cover. And we're all back together again.